Our next candidate that'll be coming up hails from Summit County, is currently a state senator. State Senator Kristina Roegner is a candidate statewide for Ohio Treasurer. We'd like to invite to the stage Senator Kristina Roegner. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Strongsville, for having me here again. I am State Senator Kristina Roegner, and I'm running to be the next Treasurer of State. Well, oh my gosh, I just realized I've been here as I was walking up to the stage 4 times. This is my 4th time this year being here with you. Started, I think, back in March or end of February when Vivek was here. He held a 4-city rally to announce his candidacy for governor, and I was with him at all 4, and one of them was right here on this stage. So you guys rock. Then I was again here for in one of your general meetings. I was with you guys for the breakfast you had with Max Miller, and again tonight, and it is great to be back. I love you because you guys are principled, you're conservative, you're strong. I guess that's in your name, Strongsville, but you really are strong. And thank you for digging into the issues and getting to know your candidates tonight. So I am running to be our next Treasurer of State. I'm briefly going to give you a bit of my background because many of you already know me. I'm right here from Hudson, Ohio, northeast Ohio, so I'm a sort of a hometown girl. I'd like to talk a little bit about my history and what I've done in the legislature because it's important you understand what people have done. It's easy to say things, but if you look at their track record, that's what tells the truth, right? And then I'll talk about my plans for treasurer and then tell you a bit about the campaign. But before I get started, I don't know if my friend Rob McCauley is still here. He is what he says he is. I have served with him in the state senate for 7 years, and I can tell you he is a true conservative. I was the one that nominated him to be our Senate president, and I couldn't be more proud of him. And I'm thankful that Vivek picked him to be our lieutenant governor. He's going to make a great lieutenant governor. So with that, let me start by telling you a bit about my background. I'm running to be treasurer, so obviously you're going to want your treasurer to have a background in finance. And I have that. I started out as a mechanical engineer as my undergraduate from Tufts University, worked as a mechanical engineer for several years for Westinghouse Power Generation Service Division, was eventually promoted to be a project manager. Then I realized I need to go back and learn more about balance sheets and income statements and cash flow statements. So I went to the Wharton School of Business. It's the #1 business school in the country. It's where President Trump went. And I got my MBA in finance. So I am absolutely 100% qualified to be our next Treasurer of State. I worked, and then after getting my MBA, I went to McKinsey & Company to work as a management consultant, which is where I met my husband. Those of you that have the flyer on the table, if you want to flip that over, you'll see a picture of my family. My husband is the easiest one to spot. That's right. He's the one that has no hair. I guess that's what having a wife and 3 daughters might do to you. But we've been married for almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years in May. We've raised 3 wonderful daughters. Yay, thank you. It's an accomplishment. And we've fostered 2 kids as well. And we live on a small farm here in Hudson. So a lot of people ask, how did you go from being a mechanical engineer and a business consultant to politics? And that is an excellent question. So at first, I left consulting to stay home with my kids, by the way. I think being a mom is one of the most important jobs you can do. And I left the workforce, left my career behind to stay home to raise my girls. And I am so glad I did because every one of those girls is a strong Christian conservative in their own right. Yeah, they are awesome. They are strong women. But it was while I was at home, I got my dad. We moved to Hudson to be close to my parents because I believe in family. I believe it's one man, one woman, married, you raise kids, and we love extended family too. So we moved to Hudson to be close to my parents. And my dad he ran for Hudson City Council because, like us, he's a fiscal conservative. He believed government was wasting money, federal, state, local was wasting money. This is back in 2003. So he ran for Hudson City Council, and he won his ward. No one in our family had ever been in elected office before, and I was like, oh, okay. So I started really paying attention to every vote on Hudson City Council at this point, and whenever there was a 6-to-1 vote, the one was my dad, and it had to do with spending money that didn't need to be spent. So I was like, poor dad, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. So I did, and I was elected to Hudson City Council. So were 3 other challengers. We made my dad council president. We got to work saving money. We cut 10% out of Hudson's budget, and that was right before the recession hit. So so I was very, very proud of the work we did there. Then so in Summit County, it's like Cuyahoga County. To say it leans blue is an understatement. Akron is in our backyard, right? But so I was asked to run for the Ohio House of Representatives. We had a Democrat incumbent, and so I ran, and by the grace of God, and I will say I give God the glory for every single one of our victories. To God be the glory, we won. And we knocked out a Democrat incumbent, and I thought for sure this will be my only race I ever win in the Columbus, or to go to Columbus, because it's a Democrat district. So I'm like, I better get to work and do our conservative agenda, right? So we introduced the viability bill to protect unborn children. Yes. Thank you. I'll pause there. I'm going to talk. I am pro-life. I am 100% pro-life. I started with being the viability bill as a freshman legislator in the House, and I sponsored Ohio's heartbeat bill in the Senate, and I'm proud to do that. I believe God has us here for a time such as this, and that was one of the bills I felt really called to do, and so I'm thankful I did. So yes, pro-life. The other thing I did when I first got in was a common sense initiative that says government's growing too big. It's making too many rules and regulations, and we need to take into consideration the business side of things, right? So that's what the common sense initiative did. So we got that going. And then let me just fast forward and tell you a few of the other things we did. President McCauley, as he was up here on stage, he referenced Amy Acton and how when COVID hit and she was shutting down the state. Senator McCauley, and he was senator at the time, he wasn't the president yet, but Senator McCauley and I introduced Senate Bill 311 to stop the shutdown of the state, because we believe that in liberty, in freedom. And we understand, listen, if the information's changing, fine, but give it to us. We're Americans. Let us make our decisions, what's best for our families, for our businesses, for our friends. Unfortunately, that bill passed the Senate, it passed the House, and then it was vetoed right at the end of that General Assembly. But we came back, and as he mentioned, we did Senate Bill 22, and that came through my committee too. We rushed it through. We got through the Senate, through the House, and it was vetoed again. But this time, we stood strong. We were able to override the veto, and that's when he started to see the state lifting up. The curfew went away. The stay-at-home orders went away. Kids started going back to school, so thank you. So absolutely. So, we stood strong in the General Assembly, and we kept fighting until we had our freedom and liberty back. And we can never, ever, ever bow the knee to an Amy Acton again. Let that never happen again. So something else I've done in the General Assembly. Oh, by the way, for our Second Amendment supporters, I know we have some of the room. The light's so bright, so I can't see you, so I know you're out there. But we have done a lot for our Second Amendment supporters. We passed not only Stand Your Ground, we passed restaurant carry, we have passed constitutional carry. So we have really taken great strides in the state for our Second Amendment friends. And then also, I remember when I was, many years ago, people were saying, we need photo ID to vote. And now we require photo ID to vote when you go in there. There's more to do, and I think we absolutely need to do it for mail-in ballots, but for in-person, and by the way, I do agree it should be one day in-person voting. So we do now have photo ID required. Another thing I want to mention is general government. So I'm the chair of General Government Committee, and about 2 years ago, we passed House Bill 68 through my committee. That gets biological males out of girl sports. We got that done. And it also prohibits transgender surgeries on minors as a bonus. So that was really good too. Thanks. And unfortunately, that bill was vetoed, but we came back. And again, this General Assembly, a very conservative General Assembly, we overrode the veto, and so now that is law in the state of Ohio. Yeah. Thank you. What else? Oh, President McCauley, our future Lieutenant Governor McCauley, he talked about Senate Bill 1 So, and I chaired higher education, so that bill came through my committee, and that got DEI out of higher education. And for those that were talking about the teachers union, Senate Bill 1 also prohibits faculty from striking. So you can't hold our kids hostage in our higher education. So, so there are a lot of good things. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you. All right. So there's a lot more I could talk about of what we've done. But the reason I tell you all that is because it's important. It's easy to stand up here and say something, but I want you to look at my track record. I want you to look up everything I just said, and you will see that we have been moving the needle. And it's with your help that you've gotten people elected to go down to Columbus and move the needle and move Ohio right. We are now... we were originally one of those, purple states. We're now pretty red, and it's thanks in large part to the activism that you guys bring to the table, getting people like me and Senator McCauley elected, so that we can get things done in the State House. And he's right. There's more to do. He mentioned the taxes, the income taxes, and it's important to have a low income tax. In our case, we are now at a flat income tax, 2.75. That is great. He would love to get us to zero. So would I. I think that would be amazing because the states that have a 0% income tax, they're the ones that are growing, they're thriving. It's where people want to move. So it matters. So we're getting there. So we are absolutely getting there. Let me stop and tell you a little bit about the treasurer's office then and what I plan to do as your next treasurer. Then I'll talk about the race, and then I'll open it up for questions. So unclaimed funds, and these are in no particular order, but unclaimed funds came to light recently because it was a provision in the budget that they would pay for stadiums out of these unclaimed funds. I disagreed with that, thank you. So I did vote for an amendment that would have stripped that out of there. But it put it on my radar, and it made me think. I'm like, listen, this is the people's money. This is your money. So what we're doing now in Columbus, so that you know, is there's a bill that would move that from the Department of Commerce, where it's sitting sort of passively, over to the treasurer's office. So when I'm your next treasurer, I can be very proactive in trying to reunite you with your unclaimed funds. And make it easier to get, make it streamlined. You obviously have to check to make sure it's you, but we're going to try to make that an easier process. If you haven't done it already, Google Ohio unclaimed funds and put in your last name, your first name. You might be really surprised. I was in Greene County earlier today, and I was with the elderly lady. She was like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, "It's real easy." So I brought out my phone. I showed her. We put in her last name, her first name, and she found several $100s, and she was so excited. So it's worth doing. I'm also huge about transparency. As a freshman, we put Ohio's checkbook online, and that was a great thing. So you can see how your money is being spent. There is a bill in the Columbus now that we would expand that so that it would be schools and municipalities. And I am fully supportive of that too, because you need to know how your money is spent at all levels. Thank you. And then financial literacy. I'm passionate about young people particularly, but all people, but young people understanding the time value of money. And how important it is that you have interest working for you and not against you. So I want to make sure I go into the schools. One last thing, I see Shannon standing over there, so my time must be getting a little slight. Let me just say the campaign. It is going so well. I am so grateful for the outpouring of support. Vivek Ramaswamy endorsed me, and I am the only person that he has endorsed in any race up and down the ballot. And I am so grateful for that. Thank you. I have the endorsement of our Senate President, Rob McCauley, Speaker Huffman, and a supermajority of our colleagues in both chambers. And counties are coming on board. We have Williams County, Summit County, Butler County endorsed us, Claremont County, and just tonight, like moments before I came on stage, if you were wondering why I had such a big smile on my face when I walked up on stage, it's because Caroline, who's my campaign manager, just told me that Washington County just voted to endorse us. It is 75% threshold for Washington County, and that is in my opponent's backyard. I know, I'm like, thank you, Jesus. So that was great news to get. I'm going to pause there because it looks like you want me to get questions. I would love questions.
Thank you for coming. In the past, you voted against budgets because they're spending too much money. Regardless of amendments you have offered, you ultimately voted for the budget. Why were you not concerned about the $600 million of our dollars for the Browns in this budget?
Yes. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. So, as a couple things, first of all, for this particular operating budget, I am proud to say, and President McCauley will vouch for me, I submitted over $500 million in amendments of cost-cutting provisions. And many of those made it in there because we wanted to cut the spending so that we could reduce the income tax. And we were able to, and it's very important that we get to a flat tax and a lower income tax because, number one, you want to be competitive with the other states, right? And we want to attract people, want to attract businesses. Secondly, maybe it's even more importantly, that's your money, and that belongs in your pockets, not in the coffers of government. And one thing I didn't mention before is when you have a progressive income tax, you have a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, you know, if they get married, then with a progressive income tax, you're thrusting them into a higher tax bracket, and what we're doing is we're penalizing marriage, and we don't want to do that. So the way to stop penalizing marriage is to have a flat tax. So it was very important to me to get to a flat tax, and then eventually to zero. But in this budget, we had a flat tax. We got to it because we were able to cut enough of the spending to get us to a flat tax. So I'm very proud of that. And I would not vote against reducing our taxes on Ohioans because that would be a horrible, horrible vote to vote against reducing our taxes. But I will reemphasize something that I mentioned earlier about the $600 million for stadiums. I didn't think that was right. And so I was one of the only, if not the only Republican to vote for a provision that would have stripped that provision out of the budget because I didn't support it. But when you're voting on a budget, there's there's thousands of provisions in there, and at the end of the day, you can't vote on each provision individually unless it's brought up on an amendment. And again, I was very clear on that amendment. I don't support funding the stadium with the unclaimed funds. But at the end of the day, because there were so many good things in that budget, I was absolutely a yes vote. Again, we got to a flat tax. We reduced our taxes. We were keeping pornographic materials out of our children's libraries. We were giving money to the Fatherhood Initiative. I mean, I could go on and on about how many wonderful things were in that budget. So I was proud at the end of the day to vote for that budget. Thank you for your question. That's a good one. I appreciate it.
You said to look at your track record, and you own a farm, so I think this question's appropriate for you. You said you're against all these solar panels coming up in our farmland, but you bought stock in the companies and even bought stock in Chinese electric vehicles. Can you comment on that?
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. What stock in Chinese vehicles?
Do you know which ones?
Listen, I'm happy to give you my. And while they're figuring that out, for those of you that want to contact me afterwards, I'm going to give you all my cell phone number. It's my personal cell. I trust no one will abuse it. So if you want to write this down, it's 330-322-5325. Once again, 330-322-5325. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for the question. Thanks again for being here. I love your t-shirt. All right.
Kristina, hi. Peter Sullivan. I had the pleasure of meeting you, I believe it was December 20th, at a breakfast meeting here in Strongsville.
Yes.
I'd never met you before. The first thing you did when they handed you the microphone was you said a prayer, and it was one of the most beautiful and inspirational prayers I ever heard. I walked up to you later and I introduced myself, and I thanked you for that prayer. It was very, very moving, and I thought, geez, this person is really rooted in values and principles. So much so that when I went home, I did do what you suggested. I did look at your background. I did look at your resume, and frankly, it's taller than you.
That's saying something.
And I was so impressed, and when I got done, I thought to myself, I can't imagine who in the state, maybe country, who would be more qualified to execute this role than you. I also am a financial professional. I say that, I think, with some ability of authority and knowledge and background, that I was very impressed with your background and wholeheartedly support you. So in that regard, a simple question to you would be, how could I or others support you in your quest to take care of the cash here for the state of Ohio? Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for that question. And I remember the breakfast, and let me tell you, I mean, while I appreciate everyone that runs for government, at the end of the day, Jesus is king. You know, he is our God, he is our Lord and our Savior, and we're just doing the best we can here. And when I pray, it's from the heart, because even though, I mean, God has created the universe, hung the stars, he is almighty and all-powerful, he wants us to call on him by name. He knows every tear we've cried, every hair in our head, and so he wants to hear from us from our heart. So thank you for remembering that prayer, and thank you for looking me up online. And I would encourage everyone else too. It's very easy. It's KristinaRoegner.com. Super, super easy. It's on these flyers. So Caroline, if you could hold up that flyer. Most of you have these at your table. You know, and so Roegner, that's a hard last name. But the way to remember it is like go rogue, you know, Roegner, and stands for reduce overspending and excessive government. One way to remember it. So yeah, let's go. So yeah, please, I thank you so much for that wonderful comment and your support. And I'd invite anybody else to come and join the team. Would love to have you. Thank you.
One last
right.
one, Shannon.
Okay.
So me and the Robs and Vivek are gonna go destroy the teachers' unions. Since you are so incredible and so willing to go against the grain and so willing to stand on your principles, will you drive the car on the way to the riot when we go destroy the teachers' unions?
No, I'd be happy to drive.
Woo,
Yeah,
that's my girl.
all right. Thank you all. God bless you. And God bless the great state of Ohio and the United States. Bye.